Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 81st episode of the HSBG Podcast. I'm your host, Educatedcollins, and I'm here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny, with a hat. Shady, how you doing?
Me and the hat are doing great, Collins. How are you?
Good. I had to ask if the hat was doing fine because
It's very inclusive.
yeah, that's who we are in this podcast. Anyways, we do have a pretty interesting podcast for you guys today. There was a patch which I did say it like last week. Don't expect any more patches like till January, and then they slap me. They slap me with a patch right afterwards. So what do I know, right? But it's a pretty interesting patch. Definitely some changes to talk about. But overall, we do get started with the weekly overview. First of all, Merry Christmas for everybody who is celebrating that. It's literally like close to Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve for some people probably. So Merry Christmas to those. Hope you have a wonderful week and holiday, all that great stuff, and hope to take care of yourselves, have a good time with your families and whatnot. But other than that, ignore that. How was your Battlegrounds week, Shady? How did it go? Da 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 da.
Good. It was fun. It was fun. So the majority of the week was a patch, I think. Probably a Tuesday again, right?
I think it
So
came on the 19th. So like
Monday.
Monday, yeah.
Well, yeah, sure. So majority of the week for sure.
Yeah, on the
Um,
19th. Yeah,
yeah,
I
what's
remember clipping that.
oh, right. Mm. No, it's been good. So some experimentation. I'm getting used to patches a lot faster than I used to because I'm not so much of a, I would
One
say,
dimension Andy. Okay, I hear you.
yeah, it's more like I used to play a little bit more within a system, and I feel like I still do that, but I just have more room for creativity.
You have
So it's
more
still,
tools in your toolbox. Something like
yeah,
that.
but also just it's not so much even tools, it's just some principles to apply, and then it creates some very weird positions that you would not normally arrive at, but
Uh-huh.
because of those principles you're like, oh well, this works, so we're gonna run with it. So yeah, essentially just experience the still took me like 5 games or so, or the first, actually no, I remember like the first 3 games was like bad, 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 and I'm then like first. I was like, okay, I got it now, it's fine. So it was 3 bad games, and then I'm like, okay, I got it. I know what to do now. So that was pretty fun. Now, obviously, that's because it's not, it's a big meta shift, but it's
Mhm.
not like quests are gone, right? So it's
Right.
still, I'm still working within that, that
Framework.
universe, that
Yeah.
quest universe, right? So yeah, it was fun. I broke 15K on EU with just like a good day where we just kept winning, so that's nice. I've never been 16K, so see, like maybe we can do that before the reset. But
Everyone's like, this is the highest MMR I've had in a while. That's what I'm hearing from
um,
everybody.
oh really? Okay. I know XQN broke 17K, but I think you've done that. He's done that last season as
But
well.
it's still the highest in a while. Like that would still count that, Like it's been a while.
Oh right. Well, I
Not
mean,
high. I didn't say highest ever for everyone. Like,
well,
jeez.
no, but I mean the end of season. That's kind of
But
normal, right?
but
Where
I would say like the has it has this been a longer season than the other
good
two,
question.
or is it like similar?
At least for medium MMR, my MMR right now is similar to what it was at the end of last season.
But there's still
But
some time left though. Like
that is true. That is true.
yeah, and
We'll
I
have
don't know if
to
they're
we'll have to let people tell us how long the season's been going and if it's a longer season or not. So
yeah, and I don't know if they're switching like January 1st, boom, new season. Like maybe there's gonna be like a couple of days of like
debated. Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Let's see. Yeah.
but yeah, I play a couple games. Not too important. I don't think my week is that.
Well, to give you guys the insight knowledge here, Colin's like, "What are we talking about?" I was like, "I don't know, the freaking patch." Right, there was a patch, so that's Collins's level of battlegrounds engagement
Hey,
this
come
week.
on! You don't have to blow me out like this. But yes, he is
I,
right. I
I think it's fine. I think if you're gonna take a break, it's great timing. Um, I'm taking a break ish from like super tryharding, but my nature doesn't really allow me to completely be like, oh, whatever, I don't care. So
that is my
um,
nature. I do go from like I don't care to whatever.
you can turn it off,
Yeah.
right? You can turn it on, you can turn it off. I have a very hard time turning it off. So. That's a good skill to have that you have there.
Fair enough.
All right, let's attack this thing.
Well, I do want to talk. They did post like an update, like details for 2023 are still being finalized with them being published next year.
Oh right, no, I thought there was this was
no, but no, the update is the update to the update. You know how they do it here, like
the update to the update, the announcement to the announcement. Like, yeah, the update is. Don't worry, guys, we will be updating you.
Yeah. So, but what they're saying is like they're not going to tell us this year, so we won't know the details this year, right? So like you know how last year we knew, right? Because like as soon as I switched, I was on, I was going, I was grinding. But it looks like we're not going to have that information this year, where before ahead of time like what the requirements are.
The tweet is that the ladder will count, and I think that's the only information.
Yeah,
you need, right?
yeah. I okay. I guess that's fair. But
I mean, you just go, right? Like for someone who's been rank 1, it's like, well, okay, the rank matters. Sure, I guess I will just try, and then rank fair. 1 wouldn't be too bad.
I guess you're right in that. I'm taking it more like the casual people last year who was like, oh, rank matters. Yeah. But like, what rank is it? Like I was just like, oh well, it's at least gonna be top 2. That was like my first year, so I'll just shoot for that. Yeah. But I guess that's a good point, where even if you don't know exactly like if it's still top 16 or maybe they're making it large or top, because China's not included, right? Like because of the
announcement that they won't have the license at least this year.
So
at least for now.
Yeah. That almost guarantees that the requirements won't be exactly the same. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be.
Yeah. So they could also adjust how many people go through the rounds too, right?
But you're still getting 4 people from China, right? Like if you need the lobbies to be functions of 8, right? So right now you're getting 12 people, right?
So yeah, but I'm saying that in terms of points and stuff, you could have more people just advance, but yeah, it would make more sense to just add, I guess, 2 additional lobbies,
something like that, right?
So another 16, right? Yeah, something like that.
But what I'm saying is, like, we don't know, but it should change in some capacity.
Yeah, it could be top 20 or something. Yeah, I mean that's not.
But that is important. That's important if it's top.
No, not. It's not like you're gonna be.
Dude, I would make so much.
I need to play slightly worse because it's top 20.
It's not like my playstyle is gonna change. But exactly. it does give you like more freedom in terms of like.
I feel like I just need to call bullshit.
Really,
if it matters, you're gonna play and you're gonna care about your rank. And hey, if you are like top 5, you're safer and you don't have to worry. You're not gonna be like, let me just sandbag it a little bit and be like rank 17 out of 20, and then like on the last day, some 3 people can jump over. No, you're still gonna want to have good rank. You're gonna want to be safe. So I don't think that if they extend it with a, like now if they say like, hey, we're going to invite top 50 of every region, yes, that's different. Top 50 you can do sort of very relaxed.
Yeah.
For someone who is used to qualifying for top 60.
To be fair, like we're assuming that the requirements are going to be very similar to this season, right? Where we don't know if they're thinking, ooh, I want to do something else different. That could change things up, right? So I'm just saying, like, we don't know. Obviously, rank matters, and we don't know the system, so we should assume the similar system. So we should just play our best, like, and regardless, you should always play your best, like, But I'm just saying, like, we don't know the details yet, and
it would have to be something very weird, because they say that the ladder still counts, right? So it's still going to be at least partially or fully ladder.
Yeah, it's not going to be like tournaments to qualify or anything.
In practice, I don't think anything changes where you're going to play the same or you play hard, you try to get as high a rank as possible.
It would be nice to know. That's all. Sure. I agree with you, Shady. I'm not here to argue like it just would be nice to know. But we're not going to know till next year, essentially. So And it is going to be different without
that sounds far away, but we're the 23rd of December right now, so that's
until next year, guys. They weren't telling us anything. How can they do this? For sure.
Gotta wait until the whole next year. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we've talked about like what we feel about the system and then things we've changed regarding like promotion and like difficulty and all that stuff. But like
it will be exciting to see if they change it and maybe increase the number of slots and it becomes more of a what we want to see. I'd say my number one is to make the tournament after you qualify from ladder, make that mean more. No, not necessarily like you have to give out cash prizes at that stage, but have it at least casted, right? Where people know what's going on and it's exciting. Right now, it's just like,
you
it
don't
happened.
even know,
yeah. It's like who went through. I don't know. Like it's like the players coming together in secrecy. There's like this big ass delay. And like, all right, you guys played, and then it's like, okay, who went through? There's no like official scoreboard that updates, right? Where people can at least follow from a document. And yeah, so essentially, hopefully that this year was the test round where they say, okay, well, we know that we want to have the tournament. We kind of just want to get to 16 players and let's do it as, fast and cheap as possible. I'm not saying that were the actual words, but that's sort of what it feels like, right? Let's just get it out of the way, bring it down to 16, and then we'll cast that tournament. So it'd be nicer now if the path to the top 16 was a little bit more, utilized, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also would like more content around the people that qualify to the finals. Like, like talk about themselves, right? Because sometimes you're just you're looking at like where did they come from, right? What are they about? You don't know them, right? Like we've been lucky that a lot of streamers qualify. Like they're they're good enough, they play enough, they qualify. So like you have someone to cheer for it, but like that that's not always going to be the case, right? And people change and stuff like that. And having like, oh, this guy, has a cat, that's cool, like Shady's cat, just adding some personality to the players so that over time you get to know more about them. I think that would be nice. And it also gives you something to put in the ad slot or the slots for the people that don't have ads and whatnot. It'd be nice to see some content around them. That's my thing I would love to see. But other than that, this was a long topic for something. One tweet. I just want to talk about that. But yeah, hopefully we'll get the news early in next year, right? We don't want to be like halfway through the year and then they tell us, right? Like that would be a bit, not halfway through the year, but halfway through the first month, and then they tell us. That would be a little bit disappointing. I'd love to know early, so hopefully it's something like that.
It would be nice indeed. Like when you're playing, once again in practice, just play, right? You're going to be climbing and grinding.
Right. All right. Now we can go into the meat and potatoes of the actual thing. The patch notes. There was a patch, guys. Big changes, apparently. Honestly, there are big changes. When I read it, I was like, is this real? that was my like initial take. Like, this is not a joke, huh? Okay. But yeah, we can go into the actual changes and stuff like that. There's not like too many to talk about, but
yeah, the changes are few but incredibly impactful.
Yeah. I want to talk about it first since I haven't played as much, just to kind of talk about like what I thought it would be, and then Shady can like lay down the law. Like this is the reality of the situation. So kidnap sack, of course, being made harder to earn. I don't think this changes too much. I don't think this is like a big ooh wow kidnap sack. Like you don't see it as much. I don't think it was like too much of a problem. To be fair, like I wouldn't have thought this was like worthy of being made harder to earn. But maybe you could like trigger turn 1 and then you basically get like 3 gold for the rest of the game, and maybe that's too strong, right? So I could kind of see it. I wouldn't have like been like, oh wow, this had to be changed, but I could see like maybe it's like it works too well comparative to the other quests. So that one's not like too surprising. Hidden Treasure Vault and Teal Tiger Sapphire quests is made easier to earn. This one I'm more like, I already thought Teal Tiger Sapphire quest was like very easy to earn. So like making it easier, even easier to earn. Like, and I don't think a lot of people like this quest, so maybe that's the reason. It's more of like people don't pick
Yeah,
it versus
for
like
sure.
this is like too unplayable. But I already thought this quest was like like you could very easily one turn it, and then like it doesn't really matter whether you one turn it or not. It's like the difference. I don't think this changes the fire level too much, but like it's even easier now. So it once again, demons in, Murlocs out. But then again, in this meta, maybe you don't even care if Murlocs are out because you like, oh, you don't see as many poisons. But like theoretically, right, demons in, Murlocs out. But I bet it even doesn't even matter. Like the demons in, you don't care. You get a Felf bat. Like people don't have the answer. So I could see this being playable. It was already playable, but it's I could see even more playable. And
Allegedly playable.
Alleged. Well,
I'm gonna given it my stamp of approval.
I'm gonna stand by. It was playable in that lobby, guys.
I picked this one time after your recommendation, and I got like second place.
Second place, huh? That's so good. I mean, it's
because I played Pyramid and I opened 2 Overseers in my 3-on-3 shop.
Exactly,
so,
exactly. It still counts.
The quest summons the good shop.
Yeah, exactly. We take those.
If you get 2 Overseers, the shop after you take this quest, I'm gonna take it a lot more than But anyways, that was the only time I took it, and I was just
it worked. So you have a second place average with the quest. Sounds pretty good.
I was just like, this shit is still just ass. I'm not taking it again. So it didn't sway me on that one game, but it's fair. I just filter it out. Like when I see it,
whatever.
It's not an option, and maybe
there's some holes in the gameplay there. That's all.
Sure, I'm happy with my gameplay right now. So I'm okay not picking Teal Tiger.
Sure.
But I understand them make it. I mean, not a lot of people take it, and probably the people that take it don't do well with it because a lot of people that take it are probably not as informed either, right? Like you make it work, but you can make anything work. So that's not an argument, I'd say. So I think that's something that happens as well. Yeah. So the stats on that quest are probably pretty bad.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the stats on the quest are bad, but whatever. And then Hidden Treasure Vault also made easier to earn. This one I have like a question, like asterisk and a question where like when this card is good, it's really good. So making it easier to earn is like the problem. Okay, the problem with this is when it's bad, it's also really bad, right? Like it's almost useless and then broken. Like there's not. It's hard to have an in between because the longer you last, the earlier you get this. Like you start getting like if you're getting 7 gold and 8 gold versus like 6 gold versus 7, right? That's a huge difference in like extra gold economy. Like it means you've gained an extra 7, an extra 8 gold like over the course of the game. That's a lot. And the longer you live, like the better it gets, and it just keeps scaling and things like that. And you can reach a breakpoint where you just like too much gold. Especially if you're playing like anything with extra economy, it's like Nomi or Pirates. Like it's just like you hit the breakpoint so quick.
Right? Yeah. If you have a bank on Millhouse, because sometimes in Millhouse you just like brick and you're done with your turn. Right. But if you have that bank, it's like the safety, and then you just hit some gamblers and they're like, I'm refueled, let's go.
Yeah. So this thing, so like making it easier, it scares me in that like that risk of the card just gets a lot lower where it's a lot easier to get. You get earlier, turn earlier is like very significant, and then now you get a pop up. So it just tells me that it was doing so poorly, or people were picking it so incorrectly essentially, that they're like on average people pick it and it does horrible because they're picking it at the wrong time. Let's make it easier. So it just scares me. Like the people that were playing it correctly are like, this is so much better now. Like I can just always, do
we don't know so much, right?
Yeah. But we don't have the information yet.
Yeah. Like what is, is that on average like 0.5 of a battle cry less,
Yeah, I feel you. And once again, it's hard to say. My experience, this card's been amazing. Like that doesn't count. You know what I mean? That's like, it doesn't really tell us too much.
I am not too worried about this. I don't really look at my opponent and be like, oh damn, he's got a vault.
That's true. Okay. But that's not my problem. But I hear you're saying. I hear like this isn't the problem quest. Like none of these are the problem.
If you're gonna be worried about things, I'm gonna give you a list of like 5 other things.
Yeah. Okay, I feel you. Okay, this isn't. I'm not worried about this. No, you're right.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Vault. I didn't take vaults unless I
much.
could do it in 2 turns. So
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it, though.
yeah, like do it on the turn itself, great. Do it on the next turn, fine. Do it in 3 turns, pretty bad.
Yeah.
So like a 3-turn vault is like I was dealt a really rough hand essentially. If I'm taking that.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't have that rule, so right, they like take it as a 3 or sometimes even a 4-turn vault, and then go like,
you're dead.
"Ooh, yeah,
You're
that's
dead.
not a good quest, right?" Like if someone else gets a golden hammer on the turn, you pop your vault, you're like, "Ooh, that's not a that's you get 1 extra gold that turn, they get a golden Theodore." That seems about equal.
Yeah. And then the next one is Partner in Crime, Pilfered Lands, Wondrous Wisdom Ball, Yogtastic Tasties, Quest Order appear more frequently. So initially I was like, that doesn't seem balanced. But then I read the dev comment. Yeah. And then I was like, and let's read this. As we approach the end of the season, all players have a chance to experience some of the rare quests that may not have been able to find. So enjoy. So with that comment, now I'm very okay with it, right? Because it's like, okay, it's the end of the season. These are rare quests. Let's have our players have fun. Here you go. Here are the rare quests, not balanced, really, but here you go. Enjoy it. And from that standpoint, I like it. From a standpoint of like, we want our players to enjoy these quests that are hard to get. I liked it. From a balance standpoint, if this was like a competitive season, I would be like, no. No.
In my patch review, I called it an event where it's like an end of season event. Like, just go nuts. Because the thing is, to put this all in perspective, they've done this, and then on top of that, they've put Toxfin to tier 6, right? So it's like, you have an easier time building big boards. Have fun with it. Oh, and we've moved the big bats poison card to tier 6, so people don't poison you too much.
We haven't talked about that yet. I know it's like on the screen, but
you threw it out earlier when you said, "Oh, Murlocs aren't really a problem anymore for the Felbat stuff," right? So you alluded to it.
I can allude, Shady. You cannot. No, I'm kidding.
There's some foreshadowing for you.
I'm so trolling. But yeah, you're definitely right. So from a competitive standpoint, like very weird, but like since it's end of season, like kind of an event, as you said, like I think this is perfectly fun. So cool. Now
I have no problems with it.
Let's move on to the big change, the only real change, which is weird. Well, that's not true. That's not true.
The minions returning are huge. So
the only real change that has a picture attached to it.
The only one worthy of the picture. That's fair.
I agree with you with that. But yeah, so Toxfin used to be a tier 4 card. Now it's a tier 6 card. You heard me right, folks. I didn't say tier 5. I didn't say tier 2. I said tier 6. And they do have a dev comment. I guess I have to read that. But though not a power outlier in most levels, Toxfin has a limiting effect on what playstyles feel viable. I don't know if that's like true, but in Murloc Lobby, I know, but like limiting effect, like this balances out the crazy stats, is what I would say about
no. So but there's a difference between saying this keeps them in check and it's balanced versus it's limiting, right? Like it is
limiting. I guess that's true.
But it's good to have limits, because when you remove limits, that's when the balance goes out the window, right? So
yeah,
like
it's
this
over 9,000. Yeah, great.
Toxin was the stat police, and now the stat police is out of town, so go nuts, right? You make some stats. Right?
Yeah, we're pushing Toxin up to tier 6 as a way to open some space for more diverse strategies.
So basically, the build a big minion strategy.
Yeah, that's not. I don't know if that's diverse, right? Like,
well, it's diverse because there's many
ways to build a big minion. I agree. Okay.
Like you can go Nomi, you can go Brand, you can go Felbat, you can go Dark Gaze, you can go Atissa, right? So there's a lot of ways to build numbers, and now numbers are better. But essentially, yeah, it's the same strategy, the build number strategy.
Right. Now, what I read this, since I'm going first, I thought, hey, this is okay. Like no, I didn't say that. I was like, what is this? Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, my tier 6 games, I triple into tier 6, guys. Like, what is this? This is so bad for me. I can't play this in Murlocs. Yeah, so basically for me, like, this is not great because the stats didn't change. I was like, I mean, I know why, because it's a real card, but like, it's just wrong.
it was so funny where they're like, we're not even going to change the stats. Like, we're not even going to bother building a new, because yeah. So essentially, if they want to change the stats, it needs to not be an original Hearthstone card, because for some reason they can't do that, right? They can't have
for some arbitrary rule they've added for no reason.
Yeah. So like a card in BG, if that also exists in the standard game, you cannot change the stats. That's why Mal'Ganis is gone, and we have Catherine at tier, because they didn't want to change Mal'Ganis from a 7/5 to something else. So
that's
like,
why Kobold Guardian's gone, and we have deflected a lot.
Print new cards essentially. Yeah.
So
sure. Yeah. I thought it was hilarious. Be like, you know what? We're gonna make it on tier 6, and people are still gonna want it. And it's like, yep, that's a 6. That's a tier 6 card that has a total of 3 stat points on it, and I want it. So that's pretty hilarious. Like, they were right. I still want it.
Yeah, but like as a person that triples into 6, this is horrible for me. I'm just like, hey, I don't want this as an option. You know, my Vic turn 6 power strike cannot be Tuxford. It's not okay.
Yeah. You're like, give me that Theo, give me that Orga. What is this? Dina Zap Toxford.
Yeah, exactly, right? I can hit that now. Like, it's not good. But anyways, regardless from that, I was thinking this is just gonna make stats very strong. However, I don't think that Murlocs are dead, which is kind of like the initial assessment people were having. Like, that wasn't my assessment at all. But that's not due to this. It's due to like the minion pool changes. So I feel like I have to talk about that as well for me to continue talking about Toxfin. So we're gonna keep this in mind, but we're gonna move on, and we're gonna probably come back to it. But there were some minion pool updates. So Mechano Tank and Interrogator Whitemane has been removed from the minion pool. So when I saw this, I was like a little bit confused. I didn't think Whitemane was like that problematic or anything like that. It did counter some quests. Like, you couldn't play Stolen Gold really with Whitemane, because people could just always put a Whitemane at the back and kill it. But it was a cool card. I wasn't like hateful. The cleave thing was annoying. I will say, like, that might have been like enough for a justification. Honestly, like being able to like just have a cleave kill your board, especially when it has Wind Fury, is like it breaks you. But it was a cool design card, so I didn't like hate it per se. But regardless, they did remove it. They also removed Tank. Tank was cool. Like, I don't know. Like, it worked with jugglers. I guess that's how I would look at it. It was like, instead of you being forced to play only jugglers, you could play juggler Tank. That's kind of how I looked at it. And there's also good temper early, right? So if you triple into it, get a Tank. So I didn't hate it, but they wanted something different. Witchmane Nest Matron is back, though, which, big fan of this card. That is broken. It's still broken, in my opinion. But yeah, good card. You know, it also makes tripling into 4s pretty good. Now they've also removed Toxfin, so Nest Matron's back. You know, you still have Light Spawn if you get that. You still have Doomsayer. So the Avenge card pieces, the Avenge buddies are still here. Egg's back, so that's fun. I assume that's what Tank's being replaced by. Both, I guess they're being replaced by 2 cards, but Egg and Tank. I don't know. I wasn't like the biggest. I had no opinions on Egg, and I bet you have stronger opinions on Egg than I do, because you loved Egg. So maybe.
Yeah, I think there's whole heroes that be like, Egg is back. Like, Graybo loves this shit.
Yeah, and I don't play that hero, so I'm just indifferent. Yeah,
I had a golden egg earlier today. It's great. Yeah.
For me, I don't care, but I know that there are some like heroes that Shady likes to play, so I was gonna throw it in there. And Mythrax is back once again. This is a Shady special card. Me, once again, I'm indifferent. I don't care that much.
How do you not play Mythrax as a greed lord? As a greed lord card.
It's not. It's a Shady Lord card. You play
a 5 instead of a 6. Okay, I hear you.
Right. No, but you play it, and then and then you just fill the rest of your boards with Leroy, Manton, and you're good. Like, it's shady special. Like, where I'm playing an actual comp, where I need LVPs, so
Right.
it's not
This is not good enough for you because it's not a fourth Darkgaze Elder.
exactly. Thank you.
Okay.
That's why I'm like, oh, this is now
This
Seafood
thing isn't
Slinger.
Yeah.
Seafood Slinger, that's a V card. that's a V card.
Let's before we continue talking, let's quickly go over this for anyone who's listening and be like, "What are all these names? I've never seen these cards." So,
that's true, huh? I guess you're right.
Witch-Winged, yeah, just run it down very quickly. Witch-Winged Matron is a 4-drop. It has Avenge 3, get a Battle Cry. So great value card. Mechano Egg is also a 4-drop. It's a 0/5, but it spawns an 8/8 mech token.
Death Rattle.
Yeah, so Death Rattle spawn an 8/8. Mithrax is a 4/4, but gains +2/+2 at the end of the turn for every type you have. So Light Fang-esque, but all the stats get concentrated on one minion instead of spread out. So I like it more than Light Fang. And Seafood Slinger is a 6-drop. It's a 5/5 that makes a Murloc golden. You can target either your board or the shop with this. So yeah, if you target the shop, it gives you another triple.
Yes, and that's a pretty big deal. So let's say you're on tier 5 and you get this, or you're in tier 6. You target a minion or Murloc in the shop. You buy the Murloc, you play it, you get another golden. That can also still be Seafood. So it just gives you a lot of ways to get a lot of easy triples. That's maybe the way you can do it. So yeah, Seafood Slinger. My thought when I saw Seafood, I was like, oh, Caligos might be back. That's what I thought. Like, oh.
That's what you think. Wow. Okay. That's some good copium right there. Like
it was
again. I'll make a golden Amalgadon. Oh wait, they didn't put Amalgadon back.
They did it, but it's still a battle cry that gives you more economy. Like it helps, and you can hit a second Cali. Like it helps. It helps. I know. I can hear the copium. I can hear it.
I very, very reluctantly bought 2 Caligos like yesterday when I opened it on tier 6. I was like, because there was like 1 Cali in the shop. I was like, I'm gonna skip it. And then Bob was like, I'll raise you, right? And then he gave me like 1 Cali, and then like the next shop was 2 Calis. It was like, okay, whatever. And it was just
so from his own statement, Caligos is back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah,
were Murlocs in, or were there no Seafoods?
What's the problem? I think Murlocs were out, so that's why.
That's why it didn't work as well. Yeah, I feel you. But yeah, Seafood Slinger. What this allows is it actually gives you an easier way to get Toxfin. Is how I would look at it, because if you triple something, right, like you're getting more 6-drops, so Toxfin's not as rare because you'll be able to. You'll be able to get the Young Murkai, you'll be able to get the Toxfin. So, because of that, it's actually not too hard in the late game to get Murlocs. That was my thought in there. Like, oh, since Seafood's in, you actually have like 3 shots. You can either hit Toxfin, you hit Murkai, Toxfin, and then Seafood into Murkai or Young Iron. Into Toxfin or Young Murkai. So, what this does deny, though, is the early game Murloc poisons are just not gonna happen in my opinion, right? Like you're not gonna be able to just go like, oh, I'll just play Murlocs and then get poison on tier 4 and then I'm done, right? You have to already be doing well. You have to kind of already be winning for you to like safely go to 6 or safely get 6-drop triples, and then like get the poison from there and then go. So want to say Brand Murloc still works. Like that one, it hasn't really changed too much. Like it does take longer to get poisons, but if you're huge Murlocs, like you don't really need the poisons at that point. But the other type of Murlocs where you're like scam Murlocs, I would say that's kind of very hard to do. You have to be really, really, really lucky, or you'd have to
be on tier 6.
You have to be on tier 6, which is also really lucky if you're not there and like healthy enough to like roll it down for Murloc stuff. So that would be my initial thoughts on the meta. It's more stat driven since there's not as much Murlocs. Murlocs are not dead, like completely. That would be my thoughts. But you do have to be doing well in the game to play Murlocs. And then tier 4 is good. Like I don't know, all the 4s are in there. So Yeah, you can still do tier 4 stuff. All right, lay down the law, Shady. What's true about that? What's not true?
So, like, where do I start? Do I just like start from
Wherever
like
you want, Shady.
just reread the patch?
Reread the patch. Yes, that's actually fine. The patch is so short. You could definitely reread it.
It's very short,
Yeah.
right? All right. So, get knapsack. I pick that all the time,
Mhm.
so I think it's fine to nerf that. Although coincidentally, you used to pick up a tier 4 Toxfin with this all the time.
Mhm.
So maybe Toxfin on tier 6 was enough of a nerf to this thing. We'll see. Yeah, Tail Tiger easier. That's normal for me. All the crazy quests more frequent. I think that's fine. Like I said, it's an event type thing where it's like, all right, go crazy, have some fun. It's like friend of a friend, but not quite as crazy, right? But it's still, you know, you fight someone with lamps. It feels like that friend of a friend.
Yeah, the lamps being frequent is just not balanced. Like
I've played a ton of lamps, because I've gotten so good and comfortable in the quest meta that I'm actually like picking lamps a lot. Whereas before it'd be like, ooh, you have like 1 or 2 bad lamp game and you're like, just like, oh, I can't really take it, right? Lamps is gonna kill me. But when you realize like, no, 12 demons is fine here. I can do it. Sometimes 12 demons will kill you, right? We're like, I can't play 12 demons here. But if you're like strong enough and you start with off with like 2 demons, you're like, fuck it, I'll do it. And then I'll just lamp them. So yeah, lamps in particular is like Yogg, Wisdom Ball, even the buddy quest, right? But like lamps,
yeah.
That's some sick shit right there. Because on top of getting huge, you only have to find 2 selfless. You only have to find 2 Barret, right? Like that is just that's the icing on the cake in the end game. All right, Toxfin tier 6. Yeah, that's the biggest change in this whole patch. So the I guess I'll start with Murlocs themselves and then the meta afterwards. So Murlocs are very different right now. Murlocs are so I don't know if you probably remember, but the Seafood Slinger Amalgadon meta, where it was race to 6, get a brand and pop off.
Yeah.
It's that. We're doing that again. We do it without Amalgadon, but other people don't have Amalgadon either. So you can just build large Murlocs. So it's actually really good. I've had like 4 or 5 first places just racing to 6. And here's the nasty thing, the thing that we haven't seen before.
Young
This is the first time.
Golden.
Yeah, this is the first time that Seafood Slinger and Murkai are in the same
that's what
game. Yeah. So what you do is you make a golden primal fin and you put that next to a Murkai. And then you have a brand, and then you get like 4 Murlocs. It's pretty you get like what? Yeah, so the Murkai procs the 2 Murlocs, and then if you have Snicker Snack, that's a full hand, basically. So very, very nasty. You can also use Murkai with Toxfin, and then you just poison your whole board. I've had Golden Brand, Toxfin, Snicker Snack, and then you go from 0 poisons to full poison. It's really dumb. Also, this is also something that is really ridiculous. You can put the Seafood Slinger on your board with Snicker Snack. And it starts goldening shit. So yeah, that's pretty funny. The the identity of Murlocs right now is essentially go to 6 and you get stupid large. Like stupid large. Like I've had several like 200, 300, close to 400 health Murloc games because you're just APMing, right? You know how it goes. You get a Seafood Slinger, you throw that on a Tad, you play the Tad, there comes a Primal Fin from the Tads. The triple from the Tad gives you another Seafood Slinger, you throw that on a lookout in the shop, you buy the lookout. The lookout itself already makes you like 2 gold or something, and then there might be Tads in there. The triple itself might give you another Seafood Slinger, and then you just roll a lot. At some point, you just start skipping regular buffs where you're like, I don't need Felfin. I'm just going to roll. I just want more Chefs. I just want more Primal Fin. I want more Tad. You usually have a Golden Honcho still because, you kind of want that anyway. Yeah, the games where you don't have that is where you have several Murkais. And then you don't need it. I've had games where I've had like Golden Murkai, regular Murkai, and then I just have like a Golden Primal Fin sandwiched in the middle. Like, cards. So like, I don't even need Snicker Snack at that point. I have a full hand. It's just like, Murlocs every turn. So essentially, the Murloc games right now, you start every turn with like a full hand of Murlocs. And then you roll, and then you can hit Seafoods. And then so the insane thing here is that the counter to Murlocs was Murlocs. Toxfin. But now people can't do that anymore. So the Murloc High Roller just goes unchecked most of the time. Like, yeah, they can do Leroy Queen, but effectively you're playing Murlocs in a non-Murloc lobby, the way how you think about it. Because there's very few people that can actually muster several Toxfins against you, right? Like 1 or 2 Toxfins isn't enough. They need to hit like Snickersnack. It's like basically they need Snickersnack Toxfin or Kidnapsack Toxfin, or they won't really be able to go like five, 6 poisons against you. So it's very rare that somebody can muster a board that actually challenges you, especially if you've crossed your T's, dotted your I's, and you actually also have a Selfless and a Baron. Then I mean, there's almost no shot that somebody overtakes you. So I'd say that Murlocs on average are weaker because it was a bullshit strategy that we talked about last time. All I got to get is 2 honchos, build some health, build some Toxfins, and I can challenge almost anyone in the lobby. But the Murloc boards you see, you feel like conceding because, I don't see enough people doing this yet because probably they're not used to the Amalgadon Slinger meta. But I feel like that is going to change. And once people realize, you're going to see a lot more like Murloc winners in the lobby because, I mean, it feels like you're playing like a high roll Naga game, but every time because you don't need a lot, right? You need a Bran, a Murkai, a Seafood Slinger, and you're kind of off to the races.
You also need the Primal Fin.
Yeah, okay. I need to find a 4-drop Murloc at some point.
Yeah. I'm just
right.
It's important. I'm just gonna throw that.
You could start with a Golden Burgurgle next to that thing. That's really good.
It's not the same, Shady. It's not the same.
You can start with a Toxfin next to the thing. You can start with a Golden Cold Light next to the thing. Like if you have Golden Murkai and there's 2 Battle Cries next to it, that is stupid good, man. Like that's a Golden 6-drop that you're getting almost for free. So, and if you can buy it with the Seafood, then it gives you another 6-drop, right? Usually you have the Murkai on the board. You just have to be like, all right, 2 gold for a Golden 6-drop, I guess it's fine. I'll just target my own board and not get the triple. But if you can like target the Murkai in the shop and get the Golden Murkai like that, or you just buy your second Murkai like that and it's straight golden, right? Like you can do all kinds of crazy shit like that. So yeah, long story short, for Murlocs, you're just a stat comp, but you'll have Murkai, so you'll also be able to Toxfin your board quite easily. Bran, Murkai, Toxfin, that's 2 poisons per turn. The initial Toxfin activation is 1 poison. So with some luck, 2 turns and you're done. And then you're off to just maybe selling the Toxfin and just be like, fuck it, I'll just put some battle cries next to it. So yeah, very, very, very strong and not that hard. The hardest part is understanding how to maneuver your way to 6. So you got to be good at transitioning. You got to be good at understanding when do I need to double sell to buy that tempo card? When do I need an extra turn on 4 or I'm not going to make it to 6? So a lot of people will probably try this and die. But once people get good at it, it's pretty oppressive.
Okay. I do have some questions.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is Murlocs on average are worse, but the high roll Murlocs are significantly better, and there's no counterplay. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, so if you're having a really good game of your own, you can still add Queen Leroy, and if the Murloc player isn't taking the steps to avoid getting scammed, then yeah, you can scam them, of course. So we're talking the Murloc player doesn't have Blaster Selfless.
But that's always been the case, right? Like if
that's always the case. So I just want to make it clear that if the Murloc player just has 5 or 6 large Murlocs, no shield, no nothing, then yeah, you can beat them with Queens because Queens will get shield. Leroy's can, like let's say they do have Ball of Minions with a module, you can still get through that with the Leroy. But yeah, essentially, let us just say that that by far the biggest counterplay tool, the Toxfin on tier 4, is now on tier 6, which makes it effectively inaccessible to a lot of players, or at least in the volume that you needed to build a board to counter. You'd need several Toxfins, like one isn't enough.
Okay. That's cool. And then the next thing I want to talk about, we're going to go back to this later, but I want to talk about the games without Murlocs, right? Because like that should be very not like it shouldn't be dramatically different than it was before, right? Because this is only changing Murlocs. but we do have the minion pool updates. I want to talk about, like, do the minion pool updates dramatically change how you're playing the game, or is it just the Murloc lobbies that are being dramatically changed?
So I would say the quest change is probably the biggest one, where
you see more pilfered lamps and
you
that
see
kind
more
of stuff?
lamps.
Okay.
So a lot of people that win of lamps, and there's warm wisdom ball, right? There's also
Okay.
wisdom ball winners.
Mhm.
So I will say that the games do. I am shooting for the moon.
So
Every
it's
game.
more high rolly because of the
Yes,
event
yeah.
change. Okay.
Well,
And
I think, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
it's not more due to the minion pool change. It's more like because you have more wisdom ball, more lamps, more people are getting access to that, and they're picking it and they're doing well. So if you don't have this crazy board state, you're gonna lose to the lamp players. You're gonna lose to the wisdom ball players. That kind of thing.
Yes, I think that there might also be a larger thing here, where if you remove the Toxfin from tier 4, that people kind of automatically start playing in a more stat oriented manner.
Even
And
if Murlocs are, they're just like,
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
right. But it's more like
You get more practice.
your autopilot. You're always building a big thing now.
Right.
Whereas before, you have to be like, this or that. So another thing to point out is, if you have, like, before we had no beast, no mech, no murloc, that was kind of a crazy lobby, right? Where you just had the high roll. Now it's no beast, no mech, because murloc doesn't matter. Murloc is one of the high roll types now. So there's two different lobbies that are crazy high roll, right? You have no beast, no mech, or no beast, no mech, no murloc. Whereas before, it was only no beast, no mech, no murloc that was crazy high roll. So those two, well, the reason there is because beasts and mechs provide mid-range strategies, Deflecto, Mama Bear, etc. If you remove those strategies from a lobby, you're essentially, well, you better find a Theodar soon or you're gonna die. So, those lobbies are just filled with hoggers. They're filled with Theodars, double Falbat players, double Nomi players, that kind of stuff. And that's essentially hard to force, right? You either hit that or you don't. Now you can play really well and set yourself up, but if the triple is just not the card you need, it's not the card you need, and there's not much you can do.
Okay, I want to ask another question. Do the pirate lobbies feel fundamentally different than non-pirate lobbies?
Yeah. I think that's 1 or 2 days ago. It was just 2 games minimum where I was just like, well, I played a cool and interesting strategy. My opponent had Tony and a Hogger, so I lose.
Okay.
Like 2 or 3 games.
It's still like
absolutely
an outlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
And goes they survive more often because they don't run into the Toxfin board. A lot of the time before, they would still run into the Toxfin board, and they hadn't made the necessary adjustments yet, and they took some damage early, and then they got one shot by a poison player. That doesn't really happen anymore. So now, if you could build a big salty looter, a lot of the time you survive. So all you need is like 2 strong arms in that one turn.
That's
and you're
true, huh? I see what you're saying. All right, those are like the overall questions of like bringing it back, right? Like, if we were to like make some last minute adjustments for balance, what would you be looking at here, right? What, like, in terms of like, what would you be looking at? I think we can ignore the high roll pilfer lambs, that event. Like, I think we can ignore that, because like, I understand that reasoning, like, oh, give them the cool rare quest, but in terms of like the changes, like, are you super happy with this toxic change? Are you happy with the minions being returned or the minions being removed? Like, what would you be looking at there?
The first week for me was a lot of fun. So if we're trying to achieve fun, I think for a lot of people we've done that, where poison was very frustrating for a lot of players, because a lot of the times the fun play wasn't the right play, right? I've had that a lot, where people tell me like, why did you sell your Dark Gaze? It's like, because it doesn't matter. It's like, it's completely irrelevant whether I add 50 more gems to my board or 0 gems. It is exactly the same result, right? I don't give a shit. And that's not so fun if you're in that position, right? It's fun that scaling. Exactly, right? Like, you don't like that either. I have no attachment to my scaling whatsoever. If my scaling has done its job, get out of there. Give me my Lyra, give me my Queen. But for a lot of players, that's not fun. They want to keep their Dark Gaze until the bitter end. They want to pump. They want to scale. They want to keep that golden life fang on their board. And
imagine selling a golden brand, dude. It's true.
I remember a game we played where I'm going into the last fight and I'm selling my golden Orgo and something else for like a Leroy and a Queen, and you're just like, oh. And it's the funny thing was the reasoning was like, it's the last fight, Collins. Why do we need it? But what if he survives? He survives if we don't play the Leroy, Collins. That's why he survives.
But then we get to go again. It's fine.
But I feel you though. I feel you. It's fun. Like I've kept more golden Orgos on my board this week. I've kept my dark gazes and all that because yeah, you are just trying to beat them with numbers. Now, I've also had more games where I just tap out because I look at their board and I'm like, well, we're
There's
done
no
here.
chance, yeah.
Right. Like you see like a 400 rag and you're just like, yep. I'm not beating that. Right. And obviously like some giant cyclones, etc. That's just like golden ball of minions selling, landing, and all that stuff. So you have I guess what it comes down to is that if you want it to be a hyper competitive meta, then you probably want to make a tweak here and there. But I don't think we need that. I think it's fine. It's the holidays. Just people want to relax.
Yeah. I agree. Like in terms of like
Yeah.
it's the holidays, this is not a season or competitive season. Like I think the changes are fine, even good.
Exactly. So, but are you asking me what would I do if I wanted to make it a hyper competitive meta? Or
Well, like if we ignore the quest, like let's say we were I guess that's fair. We remove that quest frequency update, right, and make them normal. Like what other changes do you think would help in terms of like making it more balanced or more fair, that kind of thing? Now, this is a hard question.
It is a hard question. Well, the first one is Lich B is still absolute bullshit. I will not stop.
We're throwing that back in. Lich B.
Absolutely. I mean, you're asking me, make it more
fair enough.
Fuck Lich B, man. That's a horrible hero. It's terrible to play against. But yeah, there we go. There was something that I was ready to go for, and then suddenly I lost it. But I think Golden Hammer is also a quest that gets a little crazy because that's what I wanted to say. Tony, right? Tony,
right.
It's Tony's had a good run, but I feel like essentially I'm being very selfish here, and I'm purely talking about high MMR. I think that's what the question is about as well, right? Like, how would I like look at this from a high MMR perspective and create a more healthy environment? No more Tony because it's too easy to go Golden Hogger. Same thing with Golden Hammer. Golden Hammer is also effectively, you only need to hit 2 Hoggers and you're full infinite. You only need to hit 1 Theo and you have a Golden Theo. So Golden Hammer does some crazy shit. Tony does some crazy shit. Then, yeah, I mean, I am willing to go with the tier 6 Toxfin because I've definitely had some games myself where I've pushed for the stat stuff, and then because I was on tier 6, I was still able to poison transition to combat my opponent's larger stats because I did go for the high roll game myself, but then I just fell short of beating them with numbers, right? But I was already on 6 and I had the brand and I could transition and I made a bunch of poisons. And I think I either like narrowly lost, but I gave them a run for their money, and that still feels good when you're not locked out of the game. So yeah, I think honestly that those are probably the biggest ones where we have Tony, Golden Hammer, and Lich B. I'm willing to run with this tier 6 Toxfin thing for a while, and then
okay.
Yeah. It's something that I just don't have enough insight or experience on right now to say, oh, this is awful or this is great, because I'm having a lot of fun and my results are good. But that obviously then skews
your mind, yeah.
Does that mean it's a balanced meta? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing well. It must be balanced. I know.
Right.
I've done that before.
I'm winning, so obviously it's a skill meta, right?
Oh man, yeah.
I will say that it is inherently more high rolly. I think I've just played enough that I can just flip the switch and say, okay, well, like I'm for instance, I'm not really picking Kurt right now because what
like
Kurt does. Yeah, right. No. What Kurt does isn't this meta. Kurt was last meta. Kurt is sit tier 4.
No meta.
Opinions.
some would say.
No, Kurt's fucking great. Like Toxfin on tier 4, Kurt's a champ, dude. Like you get the tier 4 with like 38 health or some shit, and then you're like, all right, now build a good board. But anyways, so I've definitely made a lot of adjustments in my hero picks. I think that's something we can definitely cover for the people at home to understand. Okay, how do you actually, put this into practice, right? We talked about a lot of stuff now, like poison in, poison out, high roll, no high roll. But essentially, what are some heroes that do this meta well? Because what's the objective here, right? Like if we are saying it is a high roll meta, what is the objective? The objective is we want to acquire early scaling. Because if we get early scaling, we can make large numbers. Our opponents don't have access to Toxfin, or at least not as much as before. So your large numbers actually matter more. So what do we want? We want the Theodore, we want the Dark Gaze, we want the Orgo into the Atissa, we want the Nomis, etc. So which heroes are better at acquiring that? It's something like a Scabs. It's something like a Maiev. So heroes that were better before are better now because it's slightly less impactful. So it's still tricky because you can't fully disregard your quest.
Well, of course. Right.
But a lot of quests relied on Toxfin. Kidnapsack, just the thing, the Parasol was also a really good Toxfin quest. Of course, Snicker Snack was a great Toxfin quest. Essentially, a lot of the quests that allowed you to sit on 4, those are a lot worse right now. So I will say that trying to win the game off your quest is more difficult if you're going to go up against these huge numbers.
Yeah, and your quest isn't like Pilfered Lamps or Wisdom.
Yeah, of course. Like so, Cookbook Hogger still
still
beats a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There are still quests that can carry you. It's just I would say the quest is less impactful than before, but you still need to complete it. So essentially, the ideal way for me is I get either a super impactful quest like Lamps, or I get a really easy tempo quest that then carries me to tier 6. And then I will build my board there, because before we had a meta where tripling into a 6 was the way to go, because going to 6 was too slow, because you just get poisoned out anyway. Right now, tripling into a 6 is still good, but then you want to push 6 after, because you can roll into seafoods, you can roll into the second Theo, etc., etc. So the meta has shifted from a point where it's more quest centric and you can only triple into 6s. You can't push to tier 6 because it's too slow. The meta has shifted, at least in my opinion, to a point where you can now worry a little bit less about your quest. You can just take something easy to carry you to tier 6, and then you can actually buy good minions on tier 6 and have that still matter, because you're not going to get hit by those mid-range strategies too often.
Okay. Good cover. Last thing I wanted to talk about is what about Seafood Slinger itself? Is that a card that needs to be in the game? Yes, no, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, once again, right? Biased? I am good with that card.
You're biased, okay. So I have the same bias, which is why I'm refraining on answering. But from a theoretical standpoint, I don't think it would be the healthiest card. Like it allows too much, right? So
you're essentially Hogger Murlocs when you do that. Like if you have you don't even need to have sick turns. You just need, because when you are properly playing this APM Murloc style, a lot of the time you just end with stuff in your hand. So it sets you up for the next turn. So it's more likely that you go, quote unquote, infinite again, right? Like not actually infinite, but to the point where you've played so much shit, especially if you have a golden honcho, it's like Murloc. Like you're super large. So you get about as large as APM Pirates. We'll put it that way. So in that regard, you are infinite. So your Murlocs become APM size, and that is very largely enabled by Seafood. Because that's the card that gives you the golden Murkai. That's the card that gives you the golden Primal Fin. That's the card that makes a golden Tad in the shop and then discovers another Seafood, etc., etc., etc. So yes, instinctively I will say, from a purely balanced, and let's not go too crazy and let's not push this tier 6 thing too much, I'd say Seafood Slinger is definitely on the watch list.
When it came back, I was like, really? I was like, You didn't find a problem with the card before? Like I
Well,
was a little confused.
Amalgadon was in the game, right?
Yeah,
So like,
I know, I
like,
know.
it was dumb, right? So for those of you who don't remember that meta or didn't play before, the and the funny thing is Collins actually played Lobby Legends on this patch, right? What happened was it's a race for Amalgadons because there's only 7 Amalgadons in the pool.
Right.
And pretty much what you do is you just race to 6, you get Seafood Slinger, you target Amalgadon, and that makes it golden without taking all the copies
All
out
the
of the pool.
which is
But
weird.
yeah, but then the cool thing is that you can then use that triple Amalgadon to discover more Amalgadons and then also just like force triple Amalgadons to actually take them out of the pool so the other players can't take them.
Yeah.
So on ladder, you
See,
wouldn't do that.
so the
You
problem
just,
with that is that Tess was so broken there, right? And then
yeah,
Scabs was broken as well, right? So like you
you're
would
still
do
dog.
that strategy, you'd fight a tester, you're like, oh well, I'll just fill my whole
Well,
board with,
a lot of the time you'd kill the test because he's not.
hopefully copium,
Yeah,
yeah. But
if you have a
if they
board
live
with
though, if they live that one turn, it's a
yeah,
problem.
it's like steal dong, steal dong, steal dong, steal dong. Especially if you have the brand still on your board, right? It's like,
Mhm.
oh, the brand and 3 Amalgadons in this. Oh, that's a good shot. Let's go. So yeah,
So disgusting.
I will bring up White Mane as well
Okay.
because that is a huge part. I am not opposed to removing her
Okay.
because it felt like I wasn't really willing to
Utilizing
play
it.
Baron comps.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So
Like so Cleve was there, right? And was
right,
annoying. But
right.
for me, the largest impact was that in the back of my mind, I was like, am I really gonna play Skelly? Ugh, I don't want to lose the White Man. Because
Oh,
like,
so White Mane made you like ignore a comp type specifically, like
yeah, like
Barons, White Mane, like that kind of thought process.
specifically Scallywag, because it's really hard, man. Because you have Baron and like 1 or 2 Khadgars, it's like the chance that they hit a key piece is super high, right? Like you can try to mind game or like taunting a Scally, putting it in a bag, blah blah. But you're usually playing down a minion, so that means the White Man targets
Hits
2
two.
things. So it's like I've done it myself, right? Like I've seen Scally comps just like I taunted both their Chads and it was just like good game. Like good game, try again next time. Your comp is invalid. So the one issue is that we still have Stolen Gold Leaper,
Mhm.
which is probably the only comp where I'm saying yes, it's justified. Fuck that. I should like nuke him out of orbit with the White Man. I think if you're playing Exodia Buster, I think it's too much. I think Exodia Buster is still a comp that's fun, that's cool, and it's outstatable, right? It's not like you're like, oh, they have Exodia Buster, I cannot win. Like, you can't outstat Leapers. Like, you
No,
can't.
you can't.
Fuck that, right? But I mean, you have boards that you're like, okay, my Exodia Buster comp is just not enough, right? Because they also can kill your Baron early. There's no other taunts after the blaster goes up. They can still kill the Baron. So I think Exodia Buster is fair. I think Exodia Pirates is fair-ish because we can make small taunts, right? We can try to avoid their Scallywags from dying. There's still some counterplay. But Stolen Gold Leapers is really like, I guess I fucking lose. So yeah, that's how it feels. Like if they have a good top, they have the top of your hat, you just look at it and be like, I guess I lose. So that's the one thing where I feel like White Mane was justified. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on White Mane. Overall, I'm happy that she left because I can play, the Exodia
Baron
Buster, the
comps,
Exodia Pirates comps more often. But I am sad that Stolen Gold Leapers just
has no
sit there.
counterplay.
Yeah, because people are getting better at playing around Blaster. I see so many of the comps, like they have Uthers or they played Mama Bear. A lot of the end games, I look at that and it's like, oh, they don't even die to Blaster here. Like they're big enough, right? Because what you would do before is you would just play Blaster Baron, and then you'd kill the sewer rats and the parrots early, and they wouldn't do anything. But people are getting a lot better at that. They're playing Uthers, they're playing Gems, they're getting Mama Bear in, and a lot of their key pieces are not 6 health or less. And if they're not 6 health or less, then you're talking, like Golden Blaster, Golden Bear. That's a lot harder to pick up.
Yeah, I feel you. All right,
Yeah.
I think we covered a lot for this like
Yeah.
half a page of information.
That's why I said, man, it's a big patch. It's not much text, but it's a huge implication to the meta. Overall, I'd say it's really fun. Like I think if you haven't been playing, go have some fun because I've been offered 2 Betty quests already in this week. I've been offered a shit ton of lamps. I've been taking a shit ton of lamps, and I've had so many games where I just look back on it and say, wow, that was not an easy game to play. It might not have been the most balanced thing ever, but it was not easy to play, meaning I had a crap ton of decisions. I had a lot of APM. Like, I'm actually playing on Europe mainly because of the ping. I don't want to play on Asia. I don't want to play on NA because I have so many actions to do.
The NA ping is too bad for Shady now. I hear it.
I warm up on NA, so I still play a little bit there, but no, for real. If you're, you know that, right? If you're playing Golden Brand, Seafood, APM, you're just like, you don't want the game to lag more than it already does. So. Yeah, like that's my assessment. I think it's great fun right now.
Okay. Sounds good. So, recommendation, play before they change it. I guess I have to play now, huh? Can't quit.
You do. That is it's in the contract.
It's there's no contract. That's a lie. But yeah. All right. Sounds good. I think we covered everything we wanted to cover, right? So.
Yep. Sounds good.
That will be this week's episode of HSBG Podcast, everyone, and find us on everywhere. I don't know. I'm done with the ending titles. You know how it is. I need a button where it just says the ending for me.
Oh, right. Yeah, just record that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could also just do just edit that, right? Where you just have that clip and
oh, right, I could.
Yeah.
But that's even more work, by the way.
Then you gotta edit it, right? Yeah, just
slap like that's actually more work than saying the ending every time.
I have been editing all my YouTube videos right now, so it's like whatever. But I get it. It's fair.
And so the problem with editing, I would say, is then I have to render it specifically, and that takes forever. So that's a large chunk. Where I have it right now, I can like cut it out pretty quickly, and I can post the cutouts.
It's not the effort, but it's the time.
Yeah.
Right. You have to sit. Yeah. You don't have to sit there, but you just like, you got to do it in chunks, right? You got to do it and wait and then render it.
Yeah. It's not great.
Let's finish this because you're just or like, are we off for the podcast? Or?
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of done, right? We'll see you next year. Right? Or how many months? How many days in December?
No,
there's 31. All right. We'll see you. We'll see you at the end of the year, I guess.
Yeah. One more time before the new year.
Yeah, fine. All right. Fine, good. See you guys. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and all that good stuff.
Have a good one.